Good evening, everybody. On behalf of Reveal Lasers India, I, Snigdha from Marketing, welcome you all for this webinar session. A little bit about Reveal, and before starting that, we have hoping everybody has joined and hoping that everybody else is joining. Uh, Thank you all for finding some time for our session and joining us here. I hope and really wish that you all are safe, your families are fine. A little bit about Reveal Lasers. Many of you have joined us earlier in our Candid E-show. Many of you have met us, our sales team, all in India, and so a little bit about Reveal, and I'll move on to our session today after that. So as you know, Reveal is a global leader in the innovation of minimally invasive surgical procedures, medical treatments, and aesthetic solutions. We mainly specialize in energy-based technologies like laser, radio frequency, and ICL. We are glad to say, and we are very proud to say, that we are actually globally present in and provide support and our distribution partners and directly also in over 52 countries. And we are a very technology and R&D driven organization. And coming to our today's session, this is the first session for Expert Lounge, which we have launched. It will be an online regular platform every Thursday, 8 p.m. onwards for the coming few weeks, where we will be sharing innovative topics for all of you. That will be done by eminent speakers, people with a lot of experience in aesthetic dermatology and cosmetology. So, lot to share, lot to learn, and this will be a power-packed session of just 1 hour. We won't be too long. So, cutting the introduction from here, let us move on to our speakers for today. So I would like to welcome Dr. Madhuri Agarwal. We all know her since long. She is currently heading, and she has her own Yavana Aesthetic Clinic, which is one of the finest clinics in the country. And on her, a little bit about her, we all know she was the medical head for Kaya Skin Clinic West, and she has trained teams of around 60 dermatologists and a lot of other team members. And she was nominated for India's Most Admired Beauty Expert in 2013. She was nominated for Most Innovative Cosmetic Dermatologist 2017, and she was also Chief Consultant, Aesthetic and Corrective Trainer for Galderma, Allergan, and she has been on platforms of various other companies, imparting her knowledge and training to various conferences. On a personal note, as I also have associated with her for long years, Dr. Madhuri maintains the same grace, the same poise, and the same enchanting way, humble, nicely, which she used to present, talk to us, to fellow doctors, to anybody, and has the same penchant for science and scientific training. So I welcome the Dr. Madhuri and thank her for coming here on this session. Yeah, same humility. Yes, Dr. Madhuri, she's always been very sweet, very nice. It has always been a pleasure to hear her sessions. Coming to our, this session will be around 30-35 minutes, and followed by that will be an exciting Q&A, wherein you can all post your questions in the chat boxes, and none other than, no, there are some people who generally don't need introductions. So Dr. Neeraj Pandey, he would be there to kind of moderate the session and take us through the Q&A. A little bit about him. He is a Director and Chief Consultant at Derma Clinics in Laser Hair Research Clinics. He is a founder and director of Medisculpt, Lucknow, and Senior Consultant at Denovo Hair Transplant, Vice President IADVL, Honorable Secretary SARC AD. He was the President UPIADVL, and we can go on and on. But in very short, if I say that there is one charismatic personality who can unite the dermatologists and cosmetologists of our country, be it senior, be it junior, be it upcoming, on a single platform, this is Dr. Neeraj Pandey. So we welcome and thank Dr. So carry on the session forward. Without wasting much time, it's 8:04, we are 5 minutes off. I hand over the session to Dr. Madhuri. Have a great session.
Thank you so much, Snigdha, for that sweet introduction. And it's great to be in the same platform as my dear friend, Dr. Neeraj Pandey. And I'm going to start sharing my screen. Can you all see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, great. So thank you so much, Kuntal and the Reveal team. I have got to work with all of you all. You know, the same warmth and humility that you were talking about, Snigdha, I've got it from them, and it's always a joy. And what I will do is I'll try to share a little bit of my experience in the last 15 years that I have taken to build and grow my practice, and I hope it is of help to everybody. I hope I'm audible for everybody. Am I audible, Snigdha? So I'll go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
you are audible. You're audible. You're visible. Presentation is fine. Please
Great,
carry.
great. Okay, so why are we talking about building a practice? There is a reason for that because, when we're looking at a practice, we see that the shift is not anymore of, it's not about to cure, it's shifting to care, especially in our practice. And, we all know when in the last 2 years, when there was a study done, they found that dermatology had the maximum launches in the last whatever few years that have been followed by the other segments. So we all know that dermatology is growing as a segment. And what happens is there's a shift in the patient's expectation from doctors, especially when you're dealing with aesthetics. They know they are well patients. They are not somebody who are ailing. And that's why they expect more from a doctor. And that's why we have to really look at how do we build a practice which is successful, which is gratifying for us as well as the patient, and helps us maintain a growth as we talk about. So what are the steps? As doctors, we always talk about science. We think like a doctor, but in a practice, we all know we have to think like an entrepreneur. And though you may say it is an ugly word, we have to talk about it as a business. We have to talk about money, or we have to talk about finance. There's nothing wrong with that, because that's what we are doing in building a practice and growing it. And basically, when you're looking at building a practice, it is very complex. It's not as easy as just putting up a clinic, keeping a receptionist outside and expecting just seeing patients. You have to see what type of business or the clinic or the practice you're going to be developing. What are the products you're going to be offering? What are the kind of personalities, whether it's a medical dermatology or is it aesthetics, or what kind of personalities and what kind of expertise that you want to master and excel and showcase yourself at. So these are the things, when you start building a practice, you have to really give a thought to. When you're looking at today's patient, we can call them clients, we can call them customers, consumers. It's very interchangeable nowadays, especially in an aesthetic practice. So we all know it's largely women, and around 80%, and they are in a varied range. You have patients now, not only 16, you have 13, 14-year-old coming to you for acne, laser hair removal, and then they move onwards to up to 60 years too. And it's not only the metros, you will see in the second and three tier cities, as we call them, the mini metros. They also are seeing a sudden scale of patients coming to them in dermatology. The fortunate part is, when we started 15 years ago, there were a lot of negative connotations, or there were a lot of closed mindset about aesthetics practice especially. But now in the last few years, we are seeing a good change when people are open to technology. They're open to coming to a dermatologist and doing stuff with them, and they don't see it as a negative thing anymore. That's the advantage. So how do you build one? For me, it was, you define, as I'm going to talk about. You design your practice, you decorate it, and you develop it. And finally, most important, you deliver in whatever you've done. So when we talk of definition, when you start a clinic, you just put up a board and then you're starting a clinic. That doesn't exist anymore, my friends. You have to have certain things which are in place, like your name, a slogan, a logo. Why is that? Now, if you see a McDonald's sign or you see a Pepsi, you associate not only with the brand that, this is the brand, but you also associate with their products, like a burger or a Pepsi, the cola, their services, their reputation. So a lot of things go in when you're putting these three elements. So when you're starting a practice, if you have a good name, if you have thought of a name, what happens is your patient will identify the practice with that name. So now what happens when my patients call up, they call up for Yavana Aesthetic Clinic, which is quite okay because that's me, right? So as doctors, somewhere it's a very thin line. You have to be very careful because we can't advertise at doctors. But at the same time, when you have a practice name, it's quite, okay to talk about it. So that's the other part of putting a name. Create a name that best describes you. your products, your services. So try to be unique in that. Just don't copy and paste somebody else's name. Spend some time thinking about it. Spend some time creating a tagline or a slogan, which is basically what are you aspiring for? What is your ultimate mission or goal? And most importantly, use a logo and try to get that logo registered or trademark. So that becomes your unique property. And what happens is when a patient sees that, they know for years and years that this is you, this is your practice. Wherever they go, they have an instant recall. They know you, and they come back to you even after years. They bring their children after years because they know that this is Dr. Madhuri Agarwal, or this is so doctor and so, and this is their clinic. So it's important that when you start a practice, please establish these three things. This is what I did when I started my practice, and it has helped me a lot. So as you can see, this is the name of the clinic, Yavana Aesthetics Clinic. I'm going to talk about it later on in detail about it a little bit. Then we have a wonderful logo. We have a tagline, the best in beauty just for you. This is what I believe in because I believe in customized treatment. That's why this tagline. And then we also have a mascot, which is just like a fun thing to do when you're doing some social media things. Now, when you're building and growing your practice, it requires confidence. It requires a mindset. Okay. So basically, when you think back, do you have any limitations? You would like a perceived limitation. Now, when you have limitation, what are you doing? You're tying up your hands. And then growth is not possible, my friends. So basically, these are some of the common reasons I've heard when you say, doctor, I can't find a good receptionist. The practice is always good in metros. In second and third tier cities, you really don't get great patients. You don't make money. But then when you're talking of metros, you're talking of high cost. And patients are getting frustrated with me because, I'm giving packages and they find it's not of value. So there are a lot of reasons and limitations and excuses. But for me, it is important that you see them as opportunities. Think back and see where can you refine this and take it as an opportunity and make changes. Also, there are doctors who are doing so much better in second and third tier cities. My good friends, I know them, including Dr. Neeraj Pandey himself is like I think he's doing much better than any metro doctor. So it's all in your perspective, whether you overcome your challenges or you just give up saying, nothing is working for me. So that's very important. And this has to be steadfast. You can't do it only at the start, but to do it throughout your journey of your practice. Determine your direction. When you start a practice, you have to really start thinking, do I want to do medical dermatology? Do I want to do aesthetic? Do I want to do both? So define it. Also think about what is your experience, and do you have a unique thing, like you're good at vitiligo surgery, or you're good at injectables, or you're good at, a specific type of procedure. So you have to find that out, and that will be a cornerstone of your practice. That will make your practice unique. Like till date, I get so many patients for Botox and fillers, and fortunately, I'm referred by my own colleagues because they feel I'm good at it. So that's where you have to develop your own niche and make sure you're working towards it and refining it over a period of time. So that should be your value proposition when you start your practice. So you have to give it some thought when you're starting a practice and growing it. So we talked about definition. Let's talk about design. Now, we all talk about beauty lies in the eyes of beholder. So behold your audience with the way you design. Your practice is like a story. It's very important that every element in your practice, so whether it's your logo, it's your name, your interiors, your products, even your stationery, everything should flow in the same language. The colors, the look, the creative should be powerful enough that they stand out, because patients should see that wherever they are seeing in the clinic, the moment they step in, they're seeing all elements merging together. You know what? It remains in their mind. It gives them an instant recall. So whenever they talk of you, they know, they have that vision of your clinic in the mind. So if you can see, this is how we have designed our clinic. So the logo is there. The interiors are similar, flowing in, then if you see the stationery colors are blending in. So everything, even the paintings on the walls, everything is picked and chosen in a way that everything goes in one flow and resonates what we're talking of as a practice. Now, when you're talking of design, location is very important. You don't have to be bang on in a prime location at the front. You can be in a bi lane. Just make sure you're very well connected so your patient is able to travel easily to your clinic and is visible. Your boards are visible, your signages are visible. Also, when you start your practice, you have to think ahead and plan your finances. What about the future? How is it going to be? Just don't think, okay, I've set up the practice, this is the next year finance. Think of the next 10 years. How are you going to finance? Insurance policies, any natural calamities like the COVID scenario which we are going through. There are a lot of medical legal happening, with doctors, and the cases are rising. So everything should be planned and thought of. So be very cautious. Don't be tempted that, my friend has 10 exotic laser machines and devices. Why am I not buying it? Let me buy it and then regret later. So go slow. I started with one machine and gradually built it up. So that's how it should be. Your finances should be thought of wisely. Now we're looking at decorate. When I mean by decorate, your practice is like a house. You have the location, you have the space, you have the structure. Now you have to bring it to vision. So you have to create a story. I know this sounds all fancy, but what I'm trying to say is, it can be, I can put a picture of a clinic and show you this is what I did. But actually, this is what patients want. They like to hear stories which they can relate to you. They know this is my doctor, this is the story, this is clinic is like my home. When I go to the clinic, I like to just sink in and be there and chat with my doctor. I know my doctor is, this is her life story and this is her ambitions, and I have my ambitions and she understands them. So you need to do that, and you need to innovate and articulate. Don't be shy about talking about yourself. Narrate it. Tell your patients, this is what you're doing for them, this is the treatment, and keep on doing it again and again in a different manner. And very important is create a pride and esteem for your practice. I find it very sad. A lot of doctors and their staff don't take pride. I like to have that pride because I've worked hard towards it. I like to have the esteem, and I want the same thing to do to my patients. And I'm fortunate my patients carry that. They're proud to tell them to others, this is my doctor, please go to her. So that's the vision you should have for your practice. You should be proud and have an esteem about your practice and look upward and not think, this is going wrong, and how do I do this. So it's very important. Now we have looked at the structure, look at technologies and treatment. When you're looking at a clinic, whether it's a start of the clinic or it is after a few years, your clinic should be projected as an expert, whether it's medical or aesthetic dermatology. You should be constantly reading, you should be constantly upgrading yourself. I do that till date. I like to see a new technology. I like to go back and read my old technology, like with Reveal. I'm going back and reading my laser hair removal again, and I'm learning so much more, and this is important, though you may not have the machine, though you may not have the equipment, but still you're aware of it. So when a patient is sitting in front of you, we all know about Google Doctor. They will ask you 10 questions. You're prepared to answer them. You come across as an expert. So start with basics. As I said, dermatology practice no more is about medicine. It's also about cosmetics. So when you have to have a clear definition. You have your medical practice, and then doctors who have space, they also created a cosmetic boutique wherein their lasers and peels and injectables and hair transplant rooms separately. So that's called the medical boutique or the medical spa boutique. So you have to again decide and start defining it from the start. So there's no confusion in your mind, your staff's mind, as well as your patient's mind. Also, photography is very important because they say photography is a story I fail to put in words. It's our ECG. So make sure you have a dedicated photography corner. This only not helps you with your patient progress, but it also helps you to publish and talk about your work in your scientific conferences. Again, products are very important. So have a display area for products. It can be your regular products that you're prescribing. But nowadays, especially with COVID times, patients like to not go to too many places. They like to just come to you, take the products in the clinic and go away. So make sure you keep that in mind when you're starting off your practice. We have a lot of ways of doing offline marketing, newspapers and prints and TV. But believe me, especially in the last few years, we all have seen the online options. They've grown faster and give us greater return on our investment. So you spend less, but you get more in return. So the number of people using their mobile devices, including your parents and grandparents, how many times we ourselves, whenever we need anything, have clicked on the browser and just put in that whatever we require and looked it up. So it's very important that you are online, whatever your age group be. Go ahead, register yourself, and make sure you're aware of the online marketing strategies, because invariably I get so many patients asking, just searching for a dermatologist and coming to me because my presence is there. So whatever your social media is, your Facebook, your Instagram, your YouTube, your Snapchat, be there. You may not be very active, but your presence is there. People know you exist. People know that if tomorrow I want to see a Dr. Madhuri, this is where I go to. I can drop a message, I can drop a DM, and then directly connect with her. So it's very important you do that. Google My Business is a tool which is very important. I learned this around 10 years ago when my son registered me for this. And believe me, it has been the most useful tool. And it's a free tool. I didn't have to pay for it. So that's the beauty about it. So this is a platform that also puts you on Google Maps. So when a patient next to you is saying dermatologist next to me, your name pops up. And I know so many of my dear friends who have still not registered, and I keep on pestering them, why are you not on Google Map? You need to be there. It basically is a direct, pathway for the patients to come to you. So make sure all your clinics, whether it's 1, 2, 10, are there and they're registered and people can see you online. So it's easy for them to find you. So these are steps which gradually help to build your practice. Start building your reputation online, because how many times it happens, when we are referred to some patient, doctor, or some person or some business, we know this friend is referred to me, out of curiosity, we'll type in that name and just go in and see what are the other customers talking about, what are they reviewing. So it's important that you have a reputation which is there online, and it's not about bragging about yourself, it's about connecting. It's online, so patients have a view of you. They know this is my doctor whom I want to visit. I like her, I like him. I will go and see the clinic and meet the doctor. So it's basically opening up yourself to a lot of potential patients out there and growing your practice sitting at home. Also very important is, as doctors, we shy away from this. Make it easy to review, because what happens is, we all know that if a patient has a bad experience, he's just going to go. We recently saw one incident from one of the doctors. He will just go on all the social media channels, he will just go in detail and just describe what went wrong. But if they have good, great results, they will just sit home and say, okay, wow, this doctor was great. They will never mention you. So it's important that you get in the habit that you tell your patients. You don't have to talk about it. There's your staff. They can just say, ma'am, this is our site. Whatever you feel was good about your clinic, you appreciate about your clinic, our clinic, just go in and just please put a feedback. It can just be a star rating. It can be whatever you feel. Don't give them scripts. That's not nice. So my staff tell my patients, whomever they feel are nice enough, that this is our site, would you mind dropping in feedback? And believe me, our patients are more than happy to do that. So do make it a habit and don't shy away from it. There's nothing wrong in doing it. So you have to build online reviews, because I again get so many patients even today from different parts of the country. Just they go online, see the reviews and say, we saw your review, people talk highly about you, and really we want to come to you and consult you. And they actually are so happy to talk to you because of just the reviews are talking so nicely about you. So do start, and these are things which you can sit at home and do. It doesn't need too much of money, and it's very easy to do, and it just helps to grow your practice to the next level. Now when we're looking of in clinic, we talked about the outside growth. Let's look at the in clinic. Now when we're looking at the in clinic, the physical clinic environment is very essential, whether it's a medical practice or it's an aesthetic practice. So they like the look and feel of the clinic. Is it neat and clean, hygienic? The color coordinates are there, like I showed you before. How are things in place? Again, they should be able to feel, they came to a place which makes them feel like home. I like it when my patients say, doctor, the place is so cozy, I don't feel like getting out. And I'm like, okay, I've achieved some bit of it. So that's the kind of environment you should create. And your staff, they are the crucial ones. They are the ones who make your patient welcome, they are the ones who make your patients comfortable. So every staff, whether it is your receptionist, your therapist, or your housekeeping, I make sure they're all on the same page. They're equally trained to contribute in their manner to make the patient comfortable. That's my goal in my clinic. And at times what happens, as we grow older in our practice, we tend to forget our old patients. We look at, okay, this is a new patient, he's going to invest in us. What about your old patients? Actually, they are the ones who are going to invest more with you. They are the ones who are going to give you more patience. So make sure, don't forget them. Make sure that trust and that relation stays. That's very important for us to do. Now for me, this may, you may sound this is corny, but it's important. Our medical practice has a purpose. It is not us, it is not our staff, it is our patients. We do this practice for our patients. So don't hesitate, fall in love with your patients. Understand who your patients are. What do they want? What do they fear? What do they desire? Spend your consultation time understanding these questions. When you get a reply to these questions, you're indirectly creating a culture, and your staff is seeing that and they imbibe that value, and they know this is the purpose of their being there. They have to make their patients happy, and then you believe me, your practice goes to the next level. Also, forget about having satisfied patients. You should have satisfied patients, you should make all your patients happy, but make sure there are patients who are your fans, and it's not very difficult to do. You just have to be there consistently for them, provide them all that support, and believe me, it will just take your practice to the next level. And you don't need too many of these, you just need few of those handful. They give you patience, they give you reviews, they give you so much love that at the end of the day, as a physician, I feel satisfied that I'm doing something life changing for these patients. So it really is a multi-pronged approach when you're doing it. Now, when we're coming to a clinic team, it's very important that we hire slow and fire fast. You heard me right. What happens is, you don't have a staff and you have patients lining up, and then you're in a hurry to fill that position. So you see this patient, this profile. Okay, this is a therapist, he fits, he's ready to come abroad, the salary is okay, and the experience seems okay, let me just take him. But do you really go back and think that, is this personality right for me? Is he going to have this the nature which fits in my clinic and not disturb my existing staff? Is that therapist or that person not going to you know uh, follow my values? Are their core values aligned with what I want to do in my clinic? That's very important. So I understand you are in a hurry to hire, but take your time, because later on after hiring you will regret it. And then as doctors, we are very nice, we don't like firing people. So I have seen that most of the times I don't fire whatever be the issue, but it keeps on, bothering me. So it's important that when you're learning to grow a medical practice, not the person that you hire, but it's the person that you fail to fire that will affect you. So be little cruel, be little, I would not say the word cruel, but be little, insensitive and do that firing. Suppose you have a person working on your front desk. So she has all the CV, the credentials are fantastic, she's doing her job properly, but is she really connecting with your patients? Is she having that rapport with your patients that they like to come back and talk to her and get into things with her, rather than already every time Dr. Madhuri is there, I want to talk to her? That should not be the case. So it's important that though you have the credentials, but is it fitting into that mold that you're looking at? It's very important, otherwise it's going to hurt your practice and bring down your practice. So give some time and spend some time when you're hiring your team members. Don't be lax about it or give it to somebody else to do it, because you have to work with that person. So the team is very important. They should be happy, they should be gelling, they should have fun together, and they should know that vision that you have and respect you and follow you. I have so many. 2 days ago I had a patient who asked my therapist, so tell me, how is Dr. Madhuri? And I was very glad my staff had that confidence in me and that love for me. She said, honestly, Dr. Madhuri is very different, you will just love her. And that itself says a lot for you. So it's very important you create, not only for your patients, your team, that warmth and love for you. So this was about how we build and grow your practice. Little bit about how I did my practice. So this is Yavana Aesthetics Clinic. This is my practice. I have 2 clinics in Mumbai. Now, when I started, I was very clear that what do I want to do in a clinic? I want to definitely concentrate on aesthetic, though I have a bit of clinical dermatology because I that is my core and I don't want to leave it. So I do a little bit of medical, but yes, I know aesthetics was my main passion. So you have to create a benchmark in terms of practice, wherein I was very clear that I'll not compromise on the technology. I may not have the technology for few years, but I will only buy the best. I will only go for the FDA approved ones. I will not compromise on that. People practice. I have studied from day one. For me, it was very important that my people were right. They follow the right things. As I said, they love my patients. They love the kind of work they're doing. They have that, respect and confidence that they're doing the right things. And whenever they go out, they go with their confidence when they leave me. So, and also the experience. For me, it was not about that you come in, I do a Q switch, I do a laser hair removal, and you go. It was the entire experience I wanted my patient to have. So when they go home, they remember it, they recall it, and want to come back for it. So these were few of my ideas when I wanted to start off with. For me, again, it was not only about functional that just give a smooth glowing skin, it was also emotional, that it should improve their self-esteem. They should go confident even if they're not doing a treatment with me. When they have a consult with me, they should go with the confidence that they were treated right, they got a solution to their problem, and they went off happy. And they should be rejuvenated and relaxed. So these were my, basic thought processes when I started my practice. And that's how we started with, all the USFDA technologies. And I know at the start of the practice, it is not easy. So you do it gradually, step by step. You cannot do it all together. So when I said I'll tell you what it means. So Yavana means youth in Sanskrit. I was very clear. I get offers for franchising every month, believe me. But I'm very clear till date, no franchising, because I want my clinic not to be diluted. I have I have the highest standards of hygiene. It's very clear. Only dermatologists are treating in my clinic. I don't have any non-doctors treating. In fact, most of my patients are looked after by myself. So I may have a lesser number of patients, but I have happier patients, and I know what's going on with them. So tomorrow, if anything goes wrong, I know how to handle it. It's very important. Also, we have certain standard operating processes, so that if a therapist changes or a doctor changes, or I'm away, the same kind of experience is offered to the patient. He doesn't feel he's treated differently every time in the same treatment. Say I'm doing a Q switch or a dermal infusion, the same process is followed by all the therapists, so the patient has a seamless experience. They know that the clinic is doing the right kind of things. Nowadays patients are very smart, they know what they're doing. So we like to keep ourselves updated. I like to keep on reading, trying new things, and going back and reading old things also. Now this is very important. Besides your vision, you have to have some values. For me, as I mentioned, I love my patients. For me, it's always about patient first. Yes, you need to do business, but if you have your patient interest in heart, believe me, trust me, your business will follow. Also, the spirit of partnership. For me, I tell my patient, I'm partnering with you. You do your bit, I do my bit. It's never about that I will do everything for you. You also have to partner with me and do the things which I'm telling you. Otherwise, we don't reach a conclusion. Also, for me, ownership. So all my staff are treated as owners. I tell them, you are my bosses. You have to make them think that this is their clinic. They come up with ideas. Doctor, why don't we do this? Doctor, why don't we do this package? Why don't we do this treatment this way? So involve them. Don't be thinking, hey, I'm the boss and I should be doing everything. Give them the ownership. Be open about it. Ask their opinions. Is this laser setting okay? Do you think we should make some changes? How do you find the skin? So this also creates a confidence in the patient, in the therapist. And when you are away and you just give them direction on the phone, they're very confident about doing it because they've dealt with this. You made them independent. You made them think about it. So it's very important. Take feedbacks. If some one of my staff says, doctor, this is not the right thing to do, or I didn't like the way it was talked about, I take it and I make sure that it is not repeated. So it's very important because if your staff stays longer with you, you're more happier, your patients are more happier. So don't be in a hurry, try to do that. Now we have talked about building. What about growth? Growth comes from delivering. So do what you commit and be committed to what you do. A powerful story, you have talked about a lot of things. I can do this, I can do that. So they have these expectations. But if you don't deliver, you don't give them what you've talked about, that connection is lost. They are not going to come back to you. So it's important that you deliver what you promised your patient, and not only once. You have to keep on doing it again and again and differently, because people in aesthetics especially need variety. So you have to keep yourself updated. And for a practice to establish and grow, it only happens when you deliver, and it gets better and finer every time. So every time when you're doing something, you have to think of ways of tweaking it and making it a better experience for them. So it's a commitment not only to yourself, but to your patients, to your team, to your followers. So you are carrying a lot of responsibility and you have to be sure. Otherwise, don't get into it. It's not fair there. And don't stop. Like the Johnny Walker tagline, keep walking. Building and growing a practice is a journey of one dream. It starts with your dream, but it grows bigger into aspiration. So you have so many people connecting with you, thousands of your patients, your staff, people who are following you on social media. So it's like one big reality. It's not only about you, as I said. So it's a story of imagination, innovation, excellence, and commitment for me. So it's very important that you become the top of the town by doing the right things, by doing the right practices, by doing the right trainings with your staff. And just to end sum up, so from my experience, have a unique concept with a vision to be the creator and market leader. you should focus on service quality, efficacious and safe practices. Till date, I myself monitor, I do retrainings of my staff, I make sure they're up to date. So be prepared and be patient and be true to your core expertise. Don't dilute it. You're a dermatologist, stick to it. Also remember, you have an investment of money, time and resources, and this is for years and years. It's not one time. Also, if you have done wrong, which we do as doctors, even I do at times, accept it. Okay, I did this wrong, I'm sorry about it. How do I move ahead? How do I consolidate? Take responsibility, do the right things, don't shy away from it. Otherwise it can become a nightmare. And know your patients. Till date, I know my patients, I know their names, I know what they've gone through, and believe me, it delights them. You doctor, you remember, it really gives them that joy that my doctor knows me. So it's important you stay connected and innovate constantly. So as Walt Disney said, do what you do so well, they want to come back to you again. And not only that, bring their friends. So thank you, my friends, and thank you, Reveal, and thank you, Guntal, for having me today for this talk.
Oh, thank you, Madhuri, for such an enlightening session. It was so smooth, and you have not left anything to be asked. Actually, everything has been covered in this topic. And believe me, I have attended or rather moderated or been faculty of so many practice management sessions, but I'll rate this one of the best with so many take-home
Thank you so
messages,
much.
learning experience, speaking right from the heart, what you are doing in your practice. Because normally it becomes difficult. What is the practical approach to the practice management? Normally, what we do, it's what we are sharing all sometimes our textbook knowledge, but what the practical knowledge, and when you compare it with textbook knowledge, so this word is pretty different when you compare both. So
True.
coming on to, we have few questions from the audience also, which we'll take afterwards. But seeing all your session, I have few things to discuss with you.
Okay.
Uh, the first thing is we talk about, see, we all have now, I'll say you are almost now 16, 17 years of practice. I
Yes.
am into something around 15 years of practice. But what happens for a beginner when he is starting? What is the key message? What is the main message? Suppose somebody is starting, how much to invest? This one question is always there. You often get new, I'll say, pass outs coming to us and asking us, sir, kitna lagaya tha aapne? How much did you invest in your first clinic? Number one. And what should be the ideal priorities for the investment? Should it be ambience? Should it be a pharmacy? Should it be machines? Should it be staff?
This is a very broad question, but yes, it is each to his own. But the basics for me is a good location, definitely, adequate space if I can afford to rent it. And pharmacy is secondary for me. It is more about getting the space right, getting, as I said, my name and technologies right, and then maybe add-ons like pharmacy and other procedure rooms and all that. So it's very important that see your budget. As you talked about, what should be the budget? It could be, I don't know
Yes.
if it could be 5 lakhs, it could be 10 lakhs, it could be 1 CR, depends on your capacity. So you have to decide what is your capacity. And as I said, that the first 1 year is, we all know, when you have gone through it, that the first 1 to 2 years is a growing period. You will not see so many patients. So be very wise in your investment. Don't rush into buying too many things unless you can afford that thing. So it's very important that you plan as per your budget. For me, important is place, getting a good location, even if it's a one room clinic, but the location should be right. And getting the ambience right, because even if it's a small place but the ambience is good, patients like to come back to you. So this is very important for me. And then technology, and maybe then pharmacy. What about you? I would want to hear
Yes.
from you also.
I'll come on this. There is one question from Dr. Govind, if I'm not wrong. He's asking, 5 lakh में क्या बनता है, ma'am? This is what you say. See,
Yeah, it was a
Dr. Govind,
hypothetical
I'll give you
thing.
my example. My first center cost me something around 5.5 lakhs. It's something around 15 years back. तो
That's what.
बनता है, मैं ये नहीं कहूँगा, but it depends. It's your priorities.
Yeah.
So what I was working with one of the bigger centers also. I was doing all the peels. I was doing derma roller. I was doing all other see procedures. Something like Botox fillers. They don't require any investment initially. Gradually, the first machine, and then coming on to the next question to Dr. Madhuri, which we'll share. तो 5 लाख में बहुत कुछ बनता है, but yes, offload if you have space.
Yes.
There are a lot of, see, as Dr. Madhuri rightly mentioned, it's all about sometimes location also. And it depends on the kind of practice you are doing. You are into institute practice, you are into private practice, you want to come into aesthetic practice, you want to have a mix of both the words, dermatology practice as well as aesthetic practice. So it depends. See, you have to, when you are starting, you have one, see, the first day is the day when you decide what you have to do. The first one is not this, you are going, you pass out and then suddenly you start finding out the space
Yeah.
where to practice,
Yeah.
what to do. The first thing is this, you should decide what you have to do. You want to do only dermatology, you want to do mix of this, or sometime what happens, just throw yourself into the market and let it happen, whatever it comes. So that, and with all the additive marketing and other things which already Dr. Madhuri has discussed. Now coming on to the first machine, most of the times you will get this question. Suppose if we have to see, gradually we have to space our practice,
Yes.
which should be the first machine which we should buy. And there's always a tussle between, I'll just make your life easy. It's between LHR, laser hair reduction, and Q-switch laser.
Yes, I know.
Most of the time when you talk about lasers.
So honestly, Neeraj, what happens is, again, it is purely on budget. I tell you again and again, I'm a bunny. I think very business minded. So for me, it's very important, that can I afford it and will I be able to whatever pay the loans or the EMIs in the next few years? I was with Kaya for a good 9 years. So I was working only 3 hours in my own clinic. Believe me, I didn't have any machines. My practice room only with threads and injectables and peels and whatever I could do. I bought my first machine, which was an IPL, after I think 7 or 8 years of my practice. Okay. And I bought IPL for the simple reason because all my friends advised me it's a versatile machine. You can do a laser hair reduction, you can do your acne, you can do your skin rejuvenation. So that was the choice. But yes, now times have changed. So again, for you, it depends on the area where you're practicing. Like you mentioned before, what kind of practice do you have? If you have patients who are walking in for laser hair removal, you have that database, then do go for laser hair removal. But if you feel no, you have pigmentation as a market, go for Q-switch. So it's a very difficult question to answer to
I'll
yes,
make it
Neeraj.
even more simple. Which has better ROI, return on investment?
Absolutely.
Whether it's Q-switch laser or whether it's laser hair reduction.
I think nowadays
Simply,
with times Q-switch is a better option, I think, for me than the laser hair removal, because pigmentation India mein har kisi ko hota hai, and you
Yes.
can get it at a small cost and they can do it,
Yes.
right?
There are a lot of things, see, because it's a versatile machine. It's not for just one indication.
Yeah.
It's something like we
Tattoos,
you remember when we started
levi,
practice,
freckles, so many things.
IPL used to be first buy. Now it's I don't know how many of us start with practice. I've never.
Exactly.
I don't have.
Nowadays, that's what I said. Nowadays, times have changed. People don't do that.
Time may change. Time may change. Now the next question is, this is from Dr. Surabhi Sharma. Should we consider a place with a lot of dermatologist density in a single area in terms of competition? Does it make a difference in our practice?
I think it does, for me, it's always, I've seen, that if you have dermatologists around you, your practice will definitely grow because वो indirect advertisement है. अगर वो पेशेंट आपके वो डॉक्टर से निकल के आपका बोर्ड देखता है वो बोलता है अच्छा ये डॉक्टर नया है इसको ट्राई करते हैं बिकॉज वो डॉक्टर से फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है. सो यू गेटिंग लॉट ऑफ एडवर्टाइजमेंट इनडायरेक्टली. सो डोंट शाई अवे बिकॉज वहां पे बहुत डॉक्टर्स है सो आई शुड गो एंड सिट अनदर प्लेस. सो there's no harm in doing that. I know so many doctors have grown because they started their practice next to Kaya Skin Clinic, and I know so many of them have come and told me that कि हम उसके बगल में थे इसलिए हमको बहुत पेशेंस मिले, हमारी प्रैक्टिस इनडायरेक्टली ग्रो हुई है. What is your take on that?
पता नहीं, see, when I started my practice in Lucknow, there was less dermatologists, so I can't compare it. But when I started, there were in something around in the vicinity of 7-8 kilometers, 5 to 7 kilometers, there was no dermatologist. So that was, I don't know whether a blessing in disguise. It worked or not, but definitely now of late, what I am realizing, it works. If there are a lot of dermatologists, yes, there is, and if you are confident enough. But there is a very old saying in Hindi also कि बरगद के पेड़ के नीचे दूसरा पेड़ नहीं उगता. ऐसा something like this. If the tree is very giant, it's difficult to grow there. This is also a school of thought. So it varies from city to city and person to person and your level of confidence. This is what I think.
Agreed.
Now the question is, see, regarding you were talking about staff. So when you talk about staff, what does a good staff mean? Does it mean something like good looks, or you see a qualification, or communication skills, or team building ability? So what is the main ingredient you want in your staff?
पता है ये जब जब इंटरव्यू के लिए आते हैं ना, सो फॉर मी इट इज लाइक मैगी 2 मिनट्स नूडल, मतलब 2 मिनट में हमको डिसाइड करना है कि ऑल द थिंग्स आर देयर, पर्सनालिटी है, यू नो,
हाँ.
टीम बिल्डिंग है, स्किल्स है, कॉन्फिडेंस है, सब कुछ होना चाहिए. सो इट्स लाइक यू नो दैट वे, यू समटाइम्स यू फील यू आर दैट, but don't do that, you know, don't be that maggie 2 minutes noodle. Apna time lijiye. So for me, one, yes, you should be presentable, you need not be very good looking, but presentable, you know, your personality should be good, you should be able to carry yourself well, you should be soft spoken, obviously. And then basic ek aajkal ke, you know, nowadays it's more about English speaking besides Hindi speaking. So these two languages are very vital, especially when you're dealing with aesthetic practice in a
Communication skills, you mean?
yes,
That
yes,
should
so
be.
it's very important that those are the few things. And then obviously their credentials, I would like to take somebody who has that experience and have, or at least has that kind of course degree, which, you know, they have that mindset for it. And very important is the passion. For me, the important question is, why do you want to join me? Is it about the money? Do you have an interest in the subject, or what is it, you know? So all these things, you know, so you have different ways of gauging it and then deciding.
I don't think for staff this is the field they come with interest. Many a time, see what my philosophy has been till date. I always take freshers. You can mold them. See what happens when somebody is experienced, they have worked somewhere under somebody who, and then what I mean to say is, suppose if somebody has worked with you, so there will be huge impact of Dr. Madhuri on that staff.
Obviously.
And maybe my working style might be different from Dr. Madhuri, or
True.
so that becomes something difficult.
Yes.
Doctor, she used to do this way, and this was the machine, and then this happens. So what normally I do, maybe a year or so, if getting an experienced staff is always a difficult task. But if you get a fresher, you can mold it. It takes time. It takes 3 to 4 months. Give them 2 months for training. Don't give them patient. Don't give them any procedures. Let them be like an observer, and then gradually train them. And then they stay for long. See, believe me, it's been almost 7 years, and no staff has left my clinic as of now. And we have staff which are as old as something around 15 years in the clinic. So I don't know which philosophy is working. Is the cordial relationship between the doctor and the follows like a family which we build.
I think that's very important. We give them that comfort and all. So whether it's a fresher or this thing, for me, it's important that they have the interest in the subject. You know, if they don't have interest and it's just like a job, somewhere you lose them along the way, I feel. So I really give importance to that.
And coming on to training, how to train yourself to sustain in this market. So a young pass out, you just completed MD or DVD. There is no aesthetic dermatology in their curriculum. They are not trained Botox, fillers, lasers in their medical colleges. So what should they do? Should they directly jump into the market? The time and the company will teach them? Or should they find a mentor who can teach them, or do a fellowship, or maybe a training with some senior dermatologist?
I think, you know, again, people will be saying, ये लोग हमेशा बोल रहे हैं कि हमारे जमाने में था, तो हमारे जमाने में, नीरज, we also know कि we were not as well placed as today's times are, wherein there are a lot of options available. So we have learned it through different routes. It could be, you know, a Kaya clinic. It could be through some company offering a course, which is not so much, you know, or traveling abroad for a fellowship, which is again at a high cost. So, but nowadays, I think there's so many academies. You know, we have been talking about an academy for doctors, you know, to train in. So, you know, there's so many options now for doctors.
There are in association with the international universities.
So they
I'm
know.
one of them. So of late, the things have improved.
Yes, yes.
But my question was how important it is.
It is important.
What happens if you jump into the practice? Maybe it might take a year or so, maybe 2-3 years. And if you have interest, going to conferences, meeting your seniors, and then buying the products, you know, as you buy a laser, there's always a training with laser, they'll train you. So does it make a difference getting trained with
somehow, you know, companies are good with trainings, but I would still like to train with the doctor, because the kind of learning and experience the doctor can train me with, the company will not. That is one important thing. And yes, if you, again, there are doctors who, when they finish their degree, they go into fellowships and mentorships because they like to learn, which is quite okay, and then set up a practice. And then there are people like us who passed out and started practice from day one, and and learned on the job, which could be with your patients when you're teaching them, treating them, and also when you're working with certain institutes, or we were friends, group of friends, so we used to like to train on each other, learn on each other, and that way grow your skills. So there are different modalities. It is what you want as an individual to do, but there's no harm in starting practice from day one and learning gradually, because you have a lot of options online nowadays which you can do over weekends. So that's how I would suggest for beginners who want to start off with.
Similarly, I think that you should be a master in your bread and butter procedures when you are jumping into practice. And there is no harm in doing fellowship or training with any senior doctor.
Yes,
To learn skill and then keep on refining it.
exactly. That would always be better than a company, in my opinion.
Yes, that's always a better. And it's the end of the degree, it makes a difference. It's MBBS, MD, and then it's FADS or FTP, TPT. This is for just a example, just an example. See, it makes a difference in the eye of the patient.
Yeah,
And the perception changes.
true.
So then there is one thing which we always discuss is
Neeraj, I think there's a question which I want to ask you. Dr. Gaurav Dash has asked, how do you react if patient give very bad reviews, but you've not done anything wrong? And I know we have talked about this, so I want you to answer this.
See, it depends. If online, if you are doing good work or rather bad work, you know what you are doing exactly. What end of the day, I think. So normally, this is the question which I always ask from Dr. Madhuri and my seniors, and Malvika ma'am is also there. I'll ask her also. I saw her somewhere in the.
Okay.
So
Hello.
this is one thing. Which should we answer the negative review or should we leave it like this?
Yeah.
This is what many of my friends, many of my seniors say. You should answer it.
Yeah.
But then it becomes a threat. So what we do is if I'll say the complaint is genuine in terms of they think my staff has misbehaved or something, their expectation, and we are not up to their expectations.
Exactly.
My center manager calls them, discuss on his strength, but we don't write on online media. We don't go on the review platforms. We don't answer them there. If they have come to our clinic, their numbers are there. We try to call them, and the final stage is the meeting with me. If I find them genuine, if not, then leave it. See, if you can't satisfy 100% of the patients, and end of the day, after 15 years, we don't have that amount of time also to specify everybody.
Exactly.
But yes, if somebody who is there with us since ages is a 13-year-old client, and if there is some issue, we need to tackle them.
Yeah.
And
but
tackle them efficiently.
There I differ. If there's a bad review, from new patients who, they're doing just for the sake of doing it for whatever reasons, we do drop a comment saying that, we have heard you and we want to rectify. Whenever possible, to connect with us. Now, if they want to connect with us, great. And we listen to them. If they don't, at least we have that courtesy, because we reply to good reviews. So I feel we should reply to bad reviews also in a comment. We don't have to get into a dialogue with them. Just that we are acknowledging it,
We don't reply to any reviews actually. We're not replying. We just read it, and then if there is a bad review, and if there is a good review, the patient comes back again. There is some kind of royalty or whatever we can do in terms of.
Absolutely.
This is what we always do. So handling negative review is an art, and there is no. I think it's not a rocket science kind of thing. It varies from doctor to doctor, and even to me.
What did I say? Make your patients your fans, Neeraj. Yes. If they are your fans, there are so many patients who deal with this, they only say, हमारे clinic में हुआ एक patient बैठ के बोल रहा था कि डॉक्टर कैसी है, कैसे बात करती है and all that. There were 2 patients who shut that patient up, and I was like, my job is done, So, yeah. So, on a lighter note.
On a lighter note, good. But एक और चीज होती है जब हम लोग इसकी बात करते हैं ना. See, sometimes what I am seeing and experiencing in city, it's a B metro. I don't know about Mumbai whether it happens. There are sometimes fake reviews also. I don't know.
Yes, yes.
They don't come to our clinic.
I know
We
our
don't
colleagues
know
have
them.
faced that
There is
in
no
Mumbai.
record of that patient, but they write a long uh, love letter on online platforms.
So I have seen some, there's a lot of
For
nastiness.
them,
Yeah.
that they should be tackled. This
Yes.
is what my message is.
Yes.
Let a legal person from your clinic call to my center manager, calls them and asks, "Okay, we are going to take a legal action. And
Absolutely.
we are going to report this incident in cybercrime itself." So 99.9% that review is removed in next few minutes or hours. And if
Yes.
that happens, be ready to file a complaint. This is what I always say. If
Yes.
it is fake review and patient has not visited you.
True.
Now, the question was, there are many questions now, but there's
I
one
think we
question
have,
which I want to ask. Consultation to conversion. It's a long learning curve. See, I
yes.
still remember when I was working with Kaya ages back, there was a young Punjabi doctor of the same age. Yeah, and he was good in dermatology. We both were MD. So okay, he used to say, Neeraj, conversion ही नहीं होंदा की करे, something like this in Punjabi. So I realized that this is also an art.
Yes.
What are the tips for that? Suppose, and it should be, because it should not look that we are into a hard selling
Yes.
market and we are not, doctor should do it, or center manager should do it, or the staff should do it. There is a cross selling. Because
Yes.
if we are doing aesthetic procedures, as you rightly said, we are doing ethical business. It's kind of aesthetic, ethical business, what I say. So,
Absolutely.
and then we need ROI also.
Absolutely.
So many a times in conferences, I hear it's a very wrong practice to sell packages or this, or to ask for procedure money. You see, we have bought machines. We need ROI into this. What is the right pathway to this?
Yeah.
What is the right approach, rather, I'll say.
See, basically, when I started off, obviously, it was just me and maybe a receptionist who was not even that skillful enough to talk to patients. She would just take appointments and, do the basic needs. So the conversion also was my bit, when you start off as a practice. So I really don't like that word conversion. It's more about, talking to your patients, understanding them, and telling them, look, this is the medical line of treatment, but this is also what I would want to recommend. Maybe it's a peel, it's a laser hair removal, or whatever it is, and this is the cost. So the patient would, and I would never try to tell them ke abhi le lo, because that's a wrong thing. I would tell them, this is what I'm giving you, go back, think about it, come back to me if you have any queries. And I found that approach really worked for me, because the patients felt that doctor's given me all the options and now I'm deciding it, doctor's not deciding it for me. So the medicine obviously is my decision. They have to take that. But the treatment part is what I would suggest, that this is what I want to do for you. Let me know if you're comfortable with it. And I do that till date. I give them the costing. Now my manager does it because, I have that team to do it. But when I start, I used to do it. And I saw that patients were more comfortable. Obviously, you should have a treatment spectrum starting from basic slow cost to maybe the high cost. So your patient has an option के चलो मुझे इतने budget में नहीं जम रहा है, but I can start off with this much cost. It's easy for me to do, and they get that confidence, and automatically they will come back to you and say, I want to go for the next one.
Many a times we get a question, doctor, can it be done without procedures? And then we know the patient or the client needs.
Nowadays it is about, doctor, I just want medicines.
I just
the
want
favorite dialogue.
many a times.
I just want creams. I want medicines. I don't want to do anything.
Then we always say it's complement to the treatment. Take this also a medicine. See,
Exactly.
what has happened? See, these peels or lasers, when we talk about, with time, and the kind of marketing we all have done, see, we all are responsible. The patient understands that these are not the necessary procedures. These are kind of luxury treatments, which sometimes I differ. I beg to differ. Reason being, when you're doing acne scar treatment, medicines are not going to work. You need to incorporate, or you need to introduce lasers and maybe other treatments, MNRF or other. Similarly, suppose if you are asking about dynamic lines, static lines, you have to go for fillers and Botox. If you ask sagging of skin, means sometimes you have to do threads also. So these are the procedures which are sometimes necessary as per the expectation of the patient. So how to counsel them, because it becomes difficult sometimes.
So that's what I told you. In fact, I'm very happy because nowadays patients, as you said, thanks to us and people around us, other influencers, bloggers talking about it, maybe people are very aware and open to these procedures. So I have patients also who come and say, I want to do a peel, doctor. I don't want any medications. I've done enough. I want to do, nowadays we are doing laser hair removal more because people are not going to the salon. So that kind of openness has come in. So there is that set of patient which was not there maybe 15 years ago who would be ready to talk about it. So I give them options and I tell them very clearly that you have done this medication, it does not work for you. I would want to do this laser or I want to do a micro needling. And I show them the before after, that is your greatest testament. Show the before after, the patients see the result, it carries in their mind. And then when they come back, they are more confident that this doctor has given this kind of result. So it will do for me also.
Okay.
Then they are ready to spend. So show your work to them, what you've done.
So then there are a few, I'll say the rapid fire round now. You don't have much of time.
Yes.
One is there are many a times patient asks group discount. डॉक्टर आप मेरा ये कर दो, मेरे चाचा भी आएंगे, मेरा फ्रेंड भी आएगा, मेरी सिस्टर इन लॉ भी आएगी. So how to deal with them? To immediately refuse them or we settle and say, "Nahin, this time you pay this."
Absolutely.
This is what normally
As I said, when you're growing, you're alone, when you're starting off. तो आप ही सब कुछ जवाब देते हो. अब
Yes.
fortunately, I have a manager who handles all those kind of queries. Still वो एक आध patients है जो पूछ लेते हैं.
Sometimes they give impression that we are running a travel agency. It's kind of a group discount.
नहीं,
But
मैं
if
तो
you
बोल
do it,
देती
we
हूँ.
should not do it right from the day one. This is what the message to the audience is.
So if you see, my
This is a
patients.
trap. This is a trap. Don't get into this trap.
No, my patients actually appreciate, that you never run discounts and offers on your pages or anywhere else. We do have offers, but very limited ones where we genuinely feel it can help the patients. Otherwise, we don't do discounts. You're giving your time and value, right? Why do you want to do that?
Yes. And then coming on to, I'll say the two final questions. We already short of time.
Yes.
And there, I think the medical legal there. Somebody wants to know, Dr. Devi wants to know how to deal with complication after procedures. Example, filler occlusion. Okay, vascular occlusion, and please discuss the legal aspect.
See, one, if your patient is a filler patient, somewhere in my journey, I've realized they've been there for you for some time now, and they have that loyalty and trust towards you. This is my experience. Okay, maybe I'm wrong with other doctors. So one, a complication happens only most of the times when you don't know your techniques, you don't know your subject very well. So make sure you master it very well. Make sure you are confident about it. Till date, whenever I'm not confident, after so many years, I tell my patient, no, today I don't think we should do it. Let's postpone it. It's your gut instinct, that sixth sense which tell you that something is off. So that is one thing. The second thing is, if it has happened, it has happened. But the good part about is, you have to, you can dissolve a filler one, right? Secondly, you call the patient back and talk to them. Tell them, I am there for you. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to take care of it. You may have to give medicines free. You may have to give treatments free. But make sure, we have done CO2 lasers and other patients who have gone wrong. So you have to take that responsibility. That's what I was talking about. That take that responsibility and say, yes, I'm sorry, I did this wrong. Say sorry 10 times. That's what patients look. Even if you see the recent complaint which was filed, what did it say? That the doctor didn't give me time. They didn't say that the complication happened. They said the doctor didn't give me time. So you have to be accessible to them day, night. Your team should be following up with them. They should be all over them and make sure you resolve the complication. Then there's no medical legal. And if it happens, then obviously you'll have to deal with it. But till date, we have not faced this challenge because, we were there for the patients and we have had our own nasty complications, trust me. And we do till date. It's how you manage it. Very important. Don't let it go to the medical.
I just say two things about it. When you talk about legal aspect, see, in the Indian law is, it's or rather the British and Indian law both are pro-professionals. So 99.9%, if any case is filed against doctor in these kind of procedures, they don't stand in the court. Most of the time they are settled outside the court, or it's in the favor of a treating doctor. Till now, this is the scenario as long as this law goes on, goes on. Then coming on to the second thing, when you talk about this legal aspect in fillers or in any kind of aesthetic procedures which we are doing, see, there is hardly any complication which stays for life. They all are time bound. By the time they'll file a case against you, you'll go for a single hearing, and within the next few months it will be gone. So there is no, I think, in terms of legal implications, 99.9% we are safe if we are doing right practice, following the norms, and rest
Yeah.
of the things has been already taken care by Dr. Madhuri. And then the final question, I think there are many questions. If you
Yeah, but I
allow
think we
Dr.
should
Madhuri, we
wind up
can take
now.
3 questions more, or should we?
Huh? One.
We can take one question more. Let
Yeah.
me.
I think let's respect Snigna's statement, 1 hour session.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, yeah, I mean, we will, it can go on and on, lot of questions, lot of discussions.
We are always available near Neeraj offline
We
for
are
anybody
always
who
there.
has
Acha,
queries.
let
Yes.
me see. There are many questions. I'll just select one.
Yeah.
Mm. So suppose somebody has, the question means, it's Dr. Rahul Gupta's question. Dr. Rahul Gupta is asking that when we grow reasonably big, I don't know what that reasonably big is, shall we open new center across cities or build large center in a city or many clinics? So it means, he means to say single clinic in a city or multiple clinics in a city. And if we are having multiple chain of clinics, should it be in one city or should we go across India or across state?
आप क्या करेंगे डॉक्टर नीरज?
उतना फंड होगा हम तो अक्रॉस इंडिया जाएंगे, क्यों छोड़ेंगे? एक
Absolutely.
बॉम्बे में, एक दिल्ली में. दिस इज व्हाट माय ड्रीम इज.
Absolutely.
See, if I see, this is what I'll say. If I given a chance and given money both, I'll open centers all over India.
Why
It
not?
depends on the fund. See, if
Absolutely.
you reasonably big means your pocket also should be reasonably big to do such adventures. I'll say adventure because you are a single doctor. And when a name, see, suppose it's Dr. Madhuri name is there in Mumbai, or Dr. Malvika ma'am is there, all the patient expect that Dr. Malvika has to see the patient or Dr. Madhuri has to see the patient. And this becomes, sometimes this become different. A chain of, normally when we say, when you have aim of becoming a tycoon of chain of clinics, it's always better to market your clinic's name rather than your name.
Exactly.
Something like Kaya, something like Yavana Clinic, something like Dharma Clinic, something like, this is what, so that a doctor's image should not be bigger than the clinic image. If you are, if we are trying to make it a chain of clinic.
Yeah.
So with this, I think it's time to say goodbye to everyone.
Yes.
And it was a learning experience.
It was a good session. Even I learned a lot from you, Neeraj.
It's the same here. And see, I said right at the beginning, I have seen so many practice management centers sessions, but this was one of the best.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Then good night, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Madhuri. Thank you, Dr. Neeraj. Dr. Madhuri, it was such a nice presentation. I mean, we keep seeing very good scientific presentations from doctors, but something on clinic management so aesthetically presented, and I had the opportunity to visit your clinic. So yes, it's beautiful, it's simplistic, I mean, not to mention, and you have touched on all the points. So thank you very much. Thank you. We had a great audience, a huge count on today on a working day evening. And I thank you all the doctors who have joined across from all over India. Before ending, I would like to announce our guest for next week. So our next week, the session will be on Friday and same time that we have started calling it Reveal Prime Time, 8 p.m. And we will have Dr. Malvika Kaur. The topics will be announced soon. Great. And I think it will be a great session too. So signing off, we try to be on track, be on time. See you next week, Friday, 8 p.m.
Thank you, friends, for all of you joining in and looking forward to next Friday.
Thank you, Snigdha.
Thank you, Snigdha, and everybody.